All right. What's happening, everybody? Give me 1 second here. I was trying to fix some stuff here on the back end. What's happening, man? Day 4. Day 4 has come to a close. And a lot of you are pissed off. And I get it. I understand. You're wanting the proverbial edge. That's why the Lions defense, well, really the fan base, is on edge. That probably would have been a better title tonight. But I think we're okay. Honestly, I think we're okay. Let's just kind of talk out what happened today. One, the DB we picked up. I'm not even going to BS you. Like, I think a lot of people are thinking that this was just a terrible move. You lost Alex Anzalone to Tampa. You lose AQM to Tampa. And then you pick up Christian Izien from Tampa, who hasn't had a starting role in quite a while. And I've got an article that I wrote that I haven't released yet. I figured I'd share it with you all tonight first, and then I'll release it. And what I'm going to tell you about him might change your mind. It just might. I have a way of doing that. I think that what I've prepared will be eye-opening, at least a little bit. But AQM, he goes down to Tampa. And I knew about 2 hours before the official release that it was a done deal. Alex Anzalone being down there, AQM going down. I mean, come on. Just put 2 and 2 together. Clearly, Tampa was not going to allow AQM to leave without a deal. I mean, that deal was pretty much done. The minute that we found out that he was heading down there to at least go meet with them, I got a brief text that said, yeah, he's not coming back. Your edge room is depleted. And shout out to my guy down in Tampa. So, was it a huge loss? That's the biggest question. Was it a huge loss? Maybe. For continuity's sake, sure. From production's sake, maybe not. Let's just be honest about AQM. I loved every minute. Excuse me. I loved every minute of AQM last season. I thought he was great. And I think that this season, hold on. And I thought this season, he probably would have returned and had a very similar type of season, given the fact that this defense is going to be better, it's going to be healthier, and Dan Campbell's pissed off. Calvin Shepard's pissed off. They know that some things went down last season that is not Detroit football. And we haven't really had that conversation yet from me about last year, and I'm not going to do it tonight. I'll do it another night. But I got some things to say about last season that I just haven't felt like saying, because I try not to go too negative too often, but I do hold people accountable, and I think it's time that I just get it off my chest about how I feel last season went. It's never all roses and rainbows, right? But last season had some good points and some bad points, a lot of bad points, but I feel like there's some blame to go around that everyone has their hand in, and it should have been different. It should have been. But I don't believe the loss of AQM and the loss of Alex Anzalone and the loss of Roy Lopez and the loss of Tyrus Wheat, even though it's over 3,000 snaps that the Lions now have to recoup and fast, I don't believe it's going to be enough where you're going to see a visible decline in this team in 2026. I'll go back to what Brad said at the Combine. Or excuse me, Dan said at the Combine. He wanted to get back to what they were doing in 2023, 2022. Every single year, I think that started, 22 was the year of Hard Knocks, if I'm not mistaken. You learned a lot about Dan Campbell during that time. And you learned a lot about how he ran his ship, and how tight the ship was. I think it got a little lax. I think that they felt like they had enough in certain areas. I will firmly state the obvious that I believe that Brad Holmes has made the best moves that he's possibly could without sacrificing the future and without completely blowing up the locker room. At some point, you just need to walk away from players. And I think that they held on to some players maybe 1 year too long, simply from the standpoint of age, and maybe they should have went a different direction with a couple of picks. But overall, I'm not going to say that was enough to tank a season, because that's not the case. What tanked the season is injuries again. We've got to come to the conclusion at some point that injuries do matter. And I get it. You're probably saying to yourself right now, but will every team has injuries? Every team has to go through that. How come other teams can do more with less? Luck. Refs, luck. And some teams maybe were a little bit deeper, a little bit younger. And quite honestly, I think we just learned something the other day with Dr. Troha, that if the numbers tell you at age 25 for a football player, which would be entering your second contract typically, that the propensity, is a higher propensity to be injured, then I think that Brad has made one mistake, a glaring mistake, and that is letting this team get too old. By letting this team get too old, you are risking more injury. So you have to keep it younger. There's not too many teams these days that win Super Bowls with super old teams. It's usually teams that have been together 2, 3, or 4 years, at least 2, but probably 3 or 4 years. And that's really about the max. I mean, I think that it would be I better write it down. It'd be a good research to see exactly what the age is of Super Bowl teams. And if there's any conclusions we can draw from that and the way that Brad drafts and the way that he brings in free agents, because I'll go back to the beginning, what I was talking about with Christian Izien. He's 25 years old. He's the Amik that we started with, right? I think Amik's a little bit older than that right now. I think he's like 29. Maybe 28. It's great. He's 27. So when Amik came to Detroit, he was 25, 24 and a half, 25. And I think that's a good target age. And that is the age of player that I've always said to bring in, the second tier, second contract guys. Those are the guys to target. But I never thought about age from the perspective of injury. I thought of age from the perspective of prime and having a player in their prime. So free agency so far has been very thin for the Lions, and I think it's for a very valid reason. The draft. And it's always been the draft. The Lions aren't done. It's only day 4. There are still 100 really good football players available, one of which, at least until the last hour, was AJ Epinesa. I think he's still available. And that would add a significant upgrade to the Detroit Lions locker room. Adding a guy like AJ Epinesa does a lot. But the one thing it definitely does is he's not too old, right? He's not the 25-year-old, but he's not the 30-year-old. I believe AJ Epinesa is around that 27-ish age. 27, right on the dot. He'll be 28 this September. But he has low mileage. He hasn't played a ton comparably to other players. So he is that requisite age, exact style player that we need, veteran leadership, and he's the exact price or should be close to AQM. El-Kuni Mohammed left the Detroit Lions for $6 million in Tampa Bay. 1-year deal, $6 million. When I heard that today, which was about 5 times his salary in Detroit last season, that solidified everything in a nutshell for me. If you're not going to bring back a guy that has continuity, that was a top 10 sack leader last season or top 11, had 11 sacks, only 9 other guys were able to do that, or 10 or whatever the number was, that means they're going youth movement. And I'm going to throw out a shocker right now because the last couple hours I kept thinking about this ever since the AQM news broke. I've been saying I think Brad's going to do something crazy in this draft. I've said as far as, moving up to number 5, number 6 to get somebody like Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles. That is definitely on my board. It's on my bingo card. Furthermore, I'm not going to put it past Brad Holmes to go all defense. 1 left tackle and all defense in this draft. And have one of the youngest cores in the league. Think about that for a moment. We need 2 edge, probably 1 defensive tackle, unless DJ Reader comes back. I haven't checked in a minute. We need 3 linebackers, 1 safety, and 1 corner. We really don't need a running back, but I think it would be a mistake not to take one. But then again, next year, the running back class is going to have some more options for the Lions. You already brought in Pacheco. As long as he stays healthy, the Lions are fine between him and Sailors and Vaki this year. I think the Lions will carry those 4 all the way through. I can't imagine that they'll let Sailors up simply because of what he put on tape last year from a special teams perspective. He'll get scooped up in a heartbeat. And what else he put together on tape was his ability to run the football. So that would be a giant mistake of letting him go in free agency or at 53-man cuts. The Lions definitely need a left tackle. Today, there's been conversation that Larry Borum, hometown kid, might be the right tackle, and there's more conversation that Penei Sewell's going to the left. If you remember for the last couple of nights that I've gone through this, and I said, we've got 4 right tackles, now 5, or we at least have 4, and we have 1 left tackle, not named Penei Sewell. That kind of should tell you maybe they've already settled on Penei Sewell going to the left. And maybe that decision gets made after the draft. But that they're okay with it right now, maybe they've already told him, dude, just start working at it. Get out there and start taking reps on the left side. At home, in your own private gym, whatever. Go work with a guru. Start getting the footwork down. Maybe it's not that difficult for him. Maybe he only needs to start with OTAs. But I think at a minimum, or at the latest, I should say, it would be after the draft that decision gets made internally. Not to say that we would know. We may not know. But what we may find out is at OTAs, when media is there, if he's out there on the left side, well, that gives you your answer. Unless when the media is there, they keep him on the right side. And when the media is not allowed to be there, he's on the left side. There's that too. But come training camp, that all goes away. So, how many people do we have in right now? Just curious. I scheduled this way late. 120? What do we got? 100? 60? 80? All right. The Lions are in a unique situation. I think that the draft is where everything is gonna come to fruition for us, and I'm okay with that. Especially when you look at this draft from the perspective of where it's deep and where the Lions need their biggest help. I think this means a linebacker comes off the board way early, and like I just said, that could be at number 5 or 6 if they're trying to trade up. And they might be trying to trade up, especially with a team like the Browns. I believe that the draft order, and ignore my ticker, it may be wrong. I don't think I've updated it in a couple hours. I might be missing a player. So, Cleveland Browns at number 6. I think that they're willing to trade because they have a number 24 as well. And if they had number 17 and 24, that's pretty impressive haul that they're going to grab. And if they get a first round pick, which they would for next year, what does that do for them? That gives them the opportunity to package up their first round picks to move all the way up into the top 3 to get another quarterback. Because that's exactly what they're going to do. The Cleveland Browns are going to take another quarterback next year. I guarantee it. Clip it, save it, thumbnail it, whatever. You heard it here first. They're getting a quarterback in 27. Doesn't matter how good Shedeur Sanders is. That's what they're going to do. Because I think they're dumb. But even if they don't, having that extra first round pick is huge. And I'm all in with Brad Holmes by going all in the draft. I've been asking, this season, if you're going to do it, you got to do it through the draft and not through free agency. If you're going to go all in and push the chips to the middle and you're going to give away some of that future draft capital, I've been saying it since probably December, that is the move that needs to happen. If he's all about the draft, then he has to go all in the draft. It would make everybody feel that much better about the moves that he's not making right now. How can he make you feel better as a fan? What are the positions? Who are the players that are still available on the board right now that would make you happy? I see that the Lions, at a minimum, let me pull up their cap table here. Let's see who we have on the roster now. Lions have 56 players, and I'm going to just drive all the way down here. Let's drive all the way down to defensive line and edge. There's your edge. The Lions have Ahmed Hassanin and Aiden Hutchinson. You have Mekhi Wingo that can play inside out. You have Levi Onwuzurike who can play inside out. Defensive line, you have Ali McNeil, Tyleik Williams, Levi Onwuzurike, Tyler Lacey, Mekhi Wingo, and Chris Smith. Well, Chris Smith and Mekhi Wingo and Tyler Lacey are not great yet. They're good. Wingo can be, but he missed the whole season. We don't know what he is right now. And we don't know if he has that dog in him to make sure he stays in extra shape during the offseason. So last season, I want to say that during camp, the Lions had at least 10 defensive tackles. So they're going to need to add, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've got 6. They're still going to need to add 4. And I would much rather see that the Lions add at least one defensive tackle of high caliber in this draft, so that now you have a Lee McNeil, Tyleek Williams, and your third. Because we don't know what Tyleek or what Levi Onwuzurike is going to be. You at least need to have 3 dominant defensive tackles going into this season to make sure that you have injury protected and rotation protected. So we need 1 DT. Check. Everybody else can fight for the rest. Edge, we have 2. We need 2 edge in this draft at a minimum, to field a damn team. You can't go into the season with 2 edge rushers. You can't go into the season with 3 edge rushers. You need a minimum of 4. So that tells me the Lions are not done because they need at least 2 more. Do we really think that they're just going to go pull 2 edges out of this draft and call it a day? And that's what they're rolling with? I don't think so. So in the draft, I'll expect 2. In free agency, I think that we have 1 more coming in. And I hope it's AJ Epinesa. Because that is an immediate upgrade over what we've had on that side for the last 4 seasons. It gives us the competency and ability to compete at a high level. The cornerback room, Nick Whiteside, Khalil Dorsey, those guys are nothing burgers to me. And I mean that in the nicest way, but you know what I'm saying. They're down on the depth chart. I mean, Nick Whiteside had some flashy plays last season. Khalil Dorsey hasn't really done anything since 24. Ennis Rakestraw has never seen the field. I don't even know if he knows what grass looks like. Rock Ya-Sin is back, though. That's a starter. Terrion Arnold is back. Never left, but you know what I'm saying. That's a starter. DJ Reed is here. That's a starter. I feel comfortable with those 3, but now we have to add the other guy that is not even listed right now, and that is Christian Izien. So in this draft, are we throughout the season, are we comfortable with our corners right now if we have DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, Rock Ya-Sin, and Christian Izien? And I would say that the answer is yes. And then if Ennis Rakestraw, Khalil Dorsey, Nick Whiteside are battling for the last 2 spots, and then we pick somebody up in the draft and maybe another guy in free agency, I would say that you're probably looking pretty good. But the Lions are going to want to go into this 90-man roster with at least a dozen corners. And the reason why you need a dozen corners is because you have A side and B side during training camp. And if you're going to run sub packages, you need 5 DPs on both sides of the field. And you need guys that are going to, need treatment, get hurt, whatever. You need backups. So you need a dozen. And right now, they're sitting with 6. 7, because Christian Izien's not listed. So if they have 7 corners right now, and we need a dozen, that's 5 more. Let's take 1 in the draft. That leaves us with 4. We'll probably take 2 UDFAs. Maybe we get 2 more low-hanging fruit free agents between now and next week. It's all possible. It's all possible. There's going to be teams that make some cuts. There's going to be some teams that make some moves, right? By OTAs, during OTAs, after OTAs, and Brad will always be on the lookout. So he may leave a place, open or 2 until training camp happens. OTAs is OTAs, but you don't need to have a full deck by then, but I expect him to. Let me tell you about Christian Izien. I think you're going to like this guy. Yeah, I think Maddox is definitely on the hook to come back. I'm hoping. We should hear something soon. Okay, so K-Biz says, is Izien any good? I've never heard of him till today. And yes, you have heard of him. You know why you've heard of him? Well, he played for Tampa the last 3 seasons, which means we've gone up against him at least, 4 times? We played Tampa in the last 3 seasons? So 23, 24, 25. Played him twice in 23. I think we played him twice in 24. No, maybe once in 24. And I think once in 25. So I think we've gone up against him at least 4 times over the last 3 seasons. And you have heard his name called. And I'm going to tell you why right now. So from an analytical perspective is how I wrote this article. The Detroit Lions definitely have, the Lions hold a definitive mandate in their secondary. It's replace the production and the snap counts of the existing slot corner, Amik Robertson, right? At a minimum, that's what they have to do because that's who they lost. They also have to secure the direct insurance for safeties Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. Brad Holmes executed the first step today in that requirement by signing the versatile defensive back and a 1-year deal, Christian Izien. Now, the production baseline for Christian when he entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent out of Rutgers in 2023 was exactly, K-Biz, who is the guy? He wasn't drafted. He was a nobody. But he forced his way onto the field in 2023 with the Tampa Bay Bucks and all the way up to the primary roster because of his immediate on-field production. As a rookie, he played 17 games, 65 tackles, 1 forced fumble, recorded interceptions in his first 2 professional games, and he also logged 2 postseason appearances, including a divisional round loss against Detroit. In 2024, they being Tampa Bay, they drafted Tyke Smith. Turned out to be a really good DB. So that pushed Izien into that versatile super sub role, sub package. So he was operating primarily at safety due to secondary injuries, and he secured 10 starts, a career-high 75 tackles, and he allowed just a 76.9 passer rating on the year in 2024, highlighted by a dominant Week 2 performance in Detroit, where he surrendered a 57.1% completion rate, extremely low, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception on Jared Goff. So you have heard his name. You just don't remember. In 2025, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers spent more on their DBs, and they brought in Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison. They completely restructured the depth chart. Todd Bowles permanently moved Smith to strong safety alongside Antoine Winfield, and Parrish won the starting nickel job outright over Izien. So Izien was boxed out, right? You've got the 2 safety positions and the slot corner. Both of those roles were secured by high-priced high-priced veteran and 2 day 2 picks, second-round picks. And he watched his defensive snaps plummet all the way to 20%. However, since he was relegated to a strict rotational role on special teams and, in sub packages, his tackling efficiency and his coverage metrics still remained fairly consistent. I didn't say high, but consistent across 45 games so far since 2023. He has accumulated 165 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles. It's pretty solid for a guy that was undrafted. But this is exactly how Brad Holmes operates in free agency. It's exactly what I just said about Epinesa in that video. He identifies the highly capable 25-year-old defensive back whose market value was artificially suppressed by a crowded depth chart in Tampa Bay. It allows Detroit to secure a starting caliber slot defender at a fraction of the open market cost. Why? Because Tampa Bay neglected to give him an RFA tender, which would have paid him $3.52 million this year. So you can imagine that his 1-year deal is less than $3.52 million. Now, how does he fit in Detroit? How does he fit the scheme? So Izien, I believe, precisely fits the scheme in Detroit, especially for Calvin Shepard's 4-3 base parameters, which demand strict secondary fluidity or versatility. He's compact at 5'10", but he's also densely packed at 200 plus pounds. He executes two distinct roles, the nickel slot corner and the traditional box safety. He pairs that lateral agility to mirror inside receivers and man coverage with the physical density to trigger downhill against the run, exactly what they utilized Amik Robertson for. But with Amik exiting the team, Izien now projects as the primary slot option, leaving Brian Branch in the back. Now his collegiate tape and his collegiate tape is a multi-year Rutgers safety, and the very little bit of NFL film that I was able to catch today, he was rotating between nickel, strong safety, and two high shells comfortably, confirming that he is a multi-positional value. Brad Holmes all the way. So it's this exact flexibility that provides direct insurance not only for Brian Branch, but also Kirby Joseph. If Joseph misses snaps, Branch will rotate to the deep post while Izien will take the slot. And if Branch is unavailable, then Izien possesses the 200-pound frame to drop directly into the box and execute the run support assignments required of the strong safety position. So he's a he's a Swiss Army knife is what he is. He's multi-role capability. It really ensures that Calvin Shepard maintains his exact defensive structure that they're going to implement this summer without scheme alterations like you've seen us do the last couple of seasons due to injury. So we've tried to do this, right? Last year we did it. We brought in Rock Ya-Sin. He could play multiple positions. Avonte Maddox could play multiple positions. Arthur Mollett could play multiple positions. Everybody that they bring in, CJ Gardner-Johnson could play multiple positions. That's what they're trying to avoid, is losing the defensive structure and having to go to something that they don't want to do. It leaves them open, obviously, to losing football games because they can't play the game that they want to play. So his market cap, like I said earlier, this transaction defines Brad Holmes' acquisition model to a T. Tampa Bay declined the $3.52 million right of first refusal restricted free agent tender, allowed Detroit to acquire him. In his 45-game veteran history, I guess, and on the open market, he should have fetched a lot more money. We don't know the terms of the contract, but it's less than that. I can guarantee that. And what are they getting in return? They're getting a strong starting caliber depth piece for a secondary that is currently managing multiple injury rehabilitation timelines. We don't know what's going on with Kirby, and we don't know when Branch is going to be back. I've speculated end of September, early October. The gentleman that we had on the other day said October sounds about right. Branch is probably thinking he's back in training camp, and he could be. But we don't know. Todd Bowles said this about him last year, I believe. He said, quote, "He is tough. He is quick. He is a heady football player. I like the way that he flies around out here. In pads, we know he can tackle in blitz. And that is another key, blitz. Utilizing this type of an athlete in Todd Bowles' system, it's prerequisite that you have to be able to blitz as a corner in that system. So that is another upside that we're going to get, and that is something that you guys know that I've been asking for, is start to send our corners and safeties So we know that he is quick enough to cover. We know that he's big enough to hit, and that he can take on the run game. Another Todd Bowles quote says, quote, no matter where you put him, if you put him in the game, you're going to see him, and he's going to flash, and he's going to make some tackles, and he's going to make a play. And that's exactly what Dan Campbell wants. Playmakers. Someone that is going to come up with a big play when the big play is needed. And now you got another guy with a big chip on his shoulder, feels slighted, and he's in Detroit. My projection for the guy is this simple. Izien provides that high floor reliability. He processes route combinations quickly from the slot assignment. He is a secure wrap-up tackler in space. He's which is a strict requirement for defending, obviously, the modern horizontal passing concepts. There's a lot of lateral passing concepts now. He does not commit high-risk coverage errors, and he maintains the exact leverage on his assigned target. So he offers immediate special teams utility and high-level rotational security across multiple defensive backfield assignments. Perfect pickup on paper. He's the paper tiger. You guys remember that term? He's a paper tiger right now. He has it all. He makes you get excited. But now we have to see it, right? We have to see it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got us excited, and he turned out to be a loudmouth. Yeah, you know what, Nick P., I'm glad you just mentioned that. So just mentioned that the Bills lost their entire safety help. And you know what's funny about that is this draft has some safeties, man. It really does. And they have a new coach over there. So they're probably looking at the same thing. I don't want C.J. Gardner's, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to deal with bringing in these guys and paying them big, boatloads of money when I can just go in this draft and start over. And if it's not working out, I can potentially go make a trade during the season if I needed to. And Brad's probably thinking the same thing. There's probably some players that are on their last year, which I have not looked at or identified, that are going to be trade bait before the trade deadline. And Brad's probably already 50 steps ahead of us. He is. We know he is. And he's already identified the players that he's going to try to trade for at the deadline if he needs to. Or before the deadline if it becomes a problem. Prior to week 1. So don't put it past Brad that he's not ready to make all things possible. If it's possible, he'll do it. So I'm good with this guy. I'm good with the way that the Lions have handled the free agency period so far. I don't think that we have major deficits outside of the edge position. I wish the tight end position was a lot better. But I think that we're okay. I wish our backup quarterback was better. I mean, Teddy B is Teddy B, but I mean, he's not winning us a Super Bowl. And if he did, that would be crazy. But I don't see it. I don't see it. I wish our left tackle position was better. I'm not sold on Giovanni Manu because he doesn't have enough tape. He doesn't have anything on film. And that's not good, right? If you don't have anything on film, it's pretty tough to feel comfortable about a guy that has played hardly any snaps at all. The ones that he played, he was injured, so that made it look 10 times worse. Our guard position is actually fine right now. Miles Frazier, Christian Mahogany, Juice Scruggs, and Tate Ratledge. I mean, if those are the 4 guys that you go into the season with, I'm good with that. I think that both Miles and Mahogany have proven themselves, and I think that Tate Ratledge will be just fine. And Juice Scruggs is a former second-round pick that was battling a lot of foot injuries. Let's just hope all those foot injuries are in the past, and now he's going to get an opportunity to be healthy and not have to be a starter. All right, he doesn't have to be a starter. So edge position is on thin ice. We now have, at least 2 centers with Tate Ratledge as the 3rd center. And who knows? The Lions may add another center. The other position that's really thin is linebacker. So we have Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez. We need 4 linebackers, not 3. We need 4. I mean, we need a minimum of 3. So I would say that if there's still 1 more in free agency and 3 or at least 2 in the draft, that you can probably bet on that. So when I go through all this, it's 1 edge in the draft at a minimum, 2 linebackers in the draft at a minimum, probably 1 safety in the draft, and quite honestly, I really want 1 corner in the draft. And I want 1 defensive tackle. Because the defensive tackle position is pretty good through the 3rd round. Ideally, I would say Capehart, who is still high on my list, he projects as somebody that you're going to get a little bit later that has a ton of upside. And it's not like we need a guy that needs to be a first rounder. And anybody past round 2, they're a project. I don't care what anybody tells you. They're a project. Not all of them start. Not all of them play. They're usually high rotational football players. So if we get a guy like Capehart that turns out to be like Kobe Turner, well, then we hit a home run. Or if we get a guy like Capehart that turns out to be a 40% snap guy, but he creates chaos and he's disruptive, we hit a home run. So if you can pick him up in the 4th round, more power to you. Let's talk about our draft cap for a minute. Let's just purely defense. Just purely defense. If we need 2 edge, which we'll say 1 minimum, 2 max. Linebackers, we need 2 minimum, 3 possible. Safeties, we need 1. Defensive tackle, we need 1. That's 5 draft picks right there at a minimum. All the way up to 7. So somewhere between 5 to 7 draft picks just spent on the defensive side of the football would plug some major holes, allow you to have a youth movement, and build a very solid core. We also need a left tackle. So that's now 6 draft picks. Or 8. And I wouldn't be mad with a quarterback late. So that's now 7 or 9 draft picks. And we have 10. So we have 3 left. 3 to 1. We have 3 draft picks left. So if we were to grab a running back, that's a minimum of 8 draft picks to 10. So we're either maxed out right now and we've grabbed 3 linebackers, 2 edge, 1 left tackle, 1 quarterback, 1 safety, 1 defensive tackle, and 1 running back. That's 10 draft picks. It's not going to be like that. I bet that we probably don't have more than 8 draft picks in this draft, and maybe even 7. And Brad's going to be moving up, which is going to cost some draft capital this year and next year. I think he's going to be moving up. Unless he does something extremely wild, like trade one of our assets, like, Ali McNeil, which has been mentioned quite a bit, or Jamison Williams. I mean, those are the only 2 players that I could see us trading. You're not trading Penei Sewell. You're not trading Jack Campbell. You're not trading Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're not trading Sam Laporta. I mean, I guess you could trade Sam Laporta and keep Jamison Williams, but Sam Laporta is going to get you a 4th-round pick. That's all he's going to get you because he's coming off a back injury. Might not even be a 4th-round pick. Might be a 5th or a 6th. And that would be lucky. So he's not going anywhere. You're not trading Kirby. You're not trading Branch. They're not worth anything. Not right now. So you have to look at the high leverage play here, and those are the only 2 players that make any sense. You're not trading Giovanni Manu. Not trading Tate Ratledge. You could trade Derek Barnes. That I could see. So those might be the only 3 players that have any value outside of your own organization that you could get a haul for. Derek Barnes might get you a 3rd. Lee McNeil might get you a 2nd. And Jamison Williams could probably get you a 2nd and a 3rd. Maybe a 1st and a 4th. At the very most. At the very, very, very most. So that's the Lions in a nutshell right now. Our free agency has been slim. It's okay. We're still in good shape. We have the draft picks to cover. And I haven't done a mock draft in forever. I haven't done any while I've been doing all this because this is taking up so much of my time. So I kind of want to do one and see what's available out there. See what's changed in the last 4 days that I haven't done a draft. Or 5 days. I haven't done a draft since Saturday. All right, so any questions? Did I miss any questions? I don't see anything in caps. Let me address this. Let me go back. Hold on. I really need to get this video done because it's driving me nuts. Phoenix, injured players. Okay. Do me a favor, Phoenix. Define the term injury prone. Define that term. And if you can't define it and you need to use Google or AI to define it, that's okay. Define the term injury prone. While you're doing that, let me address your other one here where it says something about signing Teddy B that tells me Brad and Dan are cooked. It doesn't. It tells you that they wanted the veteran coach on the sideline, which is exactly what I said that they should have done from the very beginning. Wasn't Teddy, but a veteran coach to help with the scheme, to help with Jamison Williams, to help with the changeover with Petzing coming in and Kafka coming in. It's exactly the right move, is to have a veteran that you trust, that can also play and can be the coach that you need to your star quarterback and to your receivers and running backs. That's exactly what Teddy B is. And he is a coach. High school level, but he won a state championship in one of the hardest districts in Florida. He's a very smart individual. He should be a coach, just doesn't want to be. So he's going to get paid as a player, as a backup, with the idea that he shouldn't hit the field. So it's the exact right move, and the Lions are going to be grabbing a quarterback in the draft, and they still might be working on somebody like Kirk Cousins for all we know. I haven't seen if Kirk Cousins is going anywhere yet. I think Kyler Murray went to Minnesota, right? So it was the right move. It was a very smart move. The other thing in here. So define that term, injury prone. And then since you brought up injuries and signing injured players, you also mentioned Aiden Hutchinson, saying that Aiden will leave to get a ring. Well, Aiden can't go anywhere. He's under contract through 2030. He's not going anywhere. He's not. Like, they don't have to let him out of his contract. They don't have to trade him. They don't have to do anything. They can cut him. And they can cut him after next year and really not owe him much at all. So it's up to the Lions. It's not up to Aiden. But since you brought up Aiden's name, didn't Aiden have a broken right foot and leg similar to the Khalil Dorsey injury in his junior season or his sophomore season? One of the two. And then he comes to the NFL and then he shatters his other leg. Is that not injury prone? You shouldn't have drafted it. You should have drafted Aiden because he was injured before. And he also had other injuries in college. So to use your example against you, we shouldn't have drafted Aiden. I bet you love Jamison Williams, right? You think Jamison Williams is a really good football player? You know what I'm saying? You don't think Jamison Williams is a good football player? Okay. Well, we should have drafted him either because when we did draft him, he had a banged up leg too. He had a knee issue. And it took him a year and a half to come back, and it took him 2 years to finally figure out how to play football right. So there you go. We shouldn't have drafted either one of them. Tell me the players that we drafted that were injury prone. Tell me there's only one. There's only one that had a prior injury that had the same injury in the NFL. See, injury prone means that you get the same injury over and over and over again. It's not that you get different injuries over and over and over again. It means that you're having the same injury over and over and over again. And the only person that had a minor back issue in college was Levi Onwuzurike. And then that injury got worse. That's it. Josh Paschal had cancer. He didn't have an injury. He had cancer. Ennis Rakestraw had a core muscle injury. He has not had that again. He has a busted up shoulder, like corners and safeties and wide receivers usually get. And quarterbacks to a lesser degree that land on their shoulders all the time. So you can miss me with the whole injury prone thing because I don't think a lot of people know what it even means. And they definitely can't articulate it. There you go. Hutch was injured in 2020 with a fractured ankle involving the tibia and fibula. So very, very similar. Very, very similar to the Khalil Dorsey injury. And then he comes into the league and shatters his other leg in a very gruesome, injury. But that wasn't his fault. It was a freak accident. Now, ligaments and things like that, it's a different story. I mean, it's bound to happen. These are football players. 100% injuries. 100%. I could never blame a coach or a GM. Now, the only ones outside of that I would blame on Brad Holmes would be, who's the guy that we got from the 49ers again? I don't know why his name escapes me because I couldn't stand that deal. But we got him for like $1 million. It was stupid cheap. It was the corner that we got out of San Francisco. And he had an ACL or an MCL or something like that. We definitely don't bring in a lot of injured free agents. There's literally only one. Mosley. There we go. Mosley. Couldn't remember his name today. So Mosley had, was it an ACL or an Achilles in October of 2023? I think it was 23. Comes to Detroit. Same game, same week, same opponent, and does it again to the other leg. That is just freak. It's just freak of nature. But then we bring in a guy by the name of, oh my God, I can't think of his name. I can see his face. In 2024, we brought in that receiver, Tim Patrick. We bring in Tim Patrick. Now, you could say that he was injury prone. He had multiple injuries back to back to back years. Matter of fact, 2 seasons he didn't play with Denver, and then he comes to Detroit and he stays completely healthy. Doesn't miss a game. And we trade him. Got him on the cheap, traded him. So you got to take the good with the bad. You have to. None of those players has affected the outcome of our seasons. None of them. You know what affected the outcome of our seasons? Losing 21 guys to IR in 2024. That changed our season. That didn't happen preseason, right? Some of them did, but the majority of them happened in season. Same thing last year. You lost multiple guys, I think over 15 again to IR. In-season injuries. That you can't do anything about it. So I'm not going to spend any more time on it. Yeah, that's definitely not what injury prone means, John DeSasha. That's the term that you think it means. Okay. I was trying to get this mock draft up. Not going to waste my time with negativity today. Just all noise to me. All right, I'm just going to let this thing fly. I'm not going to do any. I'm not going to do any trades on this first one, at least. All right, Phoenix. There you go. You're all good, man. You're not the only one that brings up this injury prone thing, and I always try to put it to bed because it's just silly to me because every team deals with it. Every team deals with it. All right, so let's see who was taken in front of us. I just let it roll. And all right, Jordan Tyson went at 16. Monroe Freeling went all the way at 15. Kenyon Sadiq at 14. Why does it say Makai? I keep calling him Malachi. But Makai Lemon goes at 13 to the Rams. Dylan Thieneman at 12. That's nutty because I think I have him in my top 25 right there. Caleb Downs at 11. Mansour Delane at 10. That's nutty too because I think I have him at 10 there. I think I have Spencer Fano at 9. This is nuts. Carnell Tate at 8. Ruben Bain. That one is not happening. There's no way that Ruben Bain is going in the top 10. Francis Maui Goa going at number 6. Arvell Reese at number 5. David Bailey at number 4. Jeremiah Love at number 3. Sonny Styles at 2. And Fernando Mendoza at number 1. So that leaves us with Oliva Vega Lone which I think Ola Vega alone is going to be a supreme athlete at the next level as a center. And it'd be interesting to see where he goes. But we don't need a center now. So we're probably out on Jake Slaughter. We're probably out on Connor Liu unless he drifts way deep into the draft. I could see where the Lions could take a player like that. If they drift way deep and it's, like a 5th round draft pick, I could see him doing it. Jermod McCoy, it's at 17. I'm very hesitant on Jermod McCoy. He hasn't played since 2024, and I just think there's too much risk here. He's taken a whole season off. He hasn't played, like I said, since 2024. I think it's just way too risky. Caleb Banks, I'm surprised he's here at number 18. He broke his foot at the combine. That is going to completely sink his draft stock. So I'm surprised that he's still sticking there at 18. He could be healed. I mean, I don't know the degree of the broken foot. I don't know the grade of the broken foot. I don't know if it was just, a small bone, if it's a fracture or what he's got going on. But it's going to take him all of a few months probably to be, healed up at least, which he's got plenty of time. He could make it to, to training camp, but I'm not taking Caleb Banks that early. There's no way. I wouldn't take him that early anyway. Linebacker CJ Allen, I don't think so. Akeem Messidor, I would love to take a player like Akeem Messidor here. I do believe that he has, the requisite ability, but the arm length is what I'm a little bit shy on. And he can't play outside linebacker, so if you have short arms and you can't play outside linebacker, I'm a little hesitant taking you in the first round when the Lions need a left tackle. This one to me is a no-brainer with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I think that he's going to be an absolute stud. And then there's Keldrick Falk. I think, honestly, if there's a player that I love a little bit more, Keldrick Falk, I have him at number 20, I think is when I released my top 25 in the second round of top 50 players. I think I have him at number 20, and I think it's a great spot for him. I feel like he's going to be more of a project and a project first rounder, meaning it's going to take him at least a season and a half before he's even flying. I think he'll be good against the run game, but I think his pass rush is going to be very slow to develop. Very slow. He's not a dominator when it comes to the pass rush. So if we're looking for a stand-up edge that can lock out off the edge, set a hard edge, and help in the run game, Keldrick Falk would be the right choice. But if you're looking for sacks, it's not Keldrick Falk. So don't mistake yourself there. It's not him. Where's everybody else? There's Cassius Howell. Avion Terrell, I love this kid. I think he's going to be phenomenal at the next level. Blake Miller, I think that's way too early to take Blake Miller. And quite honestly, Blake Miller is a right tackle, and we have 4 right tackles. I don't see him moving to left. I think he's an extremely smart dude. I think he's got great size, but he could use some more weight. At 6'6", 315, I think he should be closer to like 322, 325, something like that. He's just a little bit light, man. A little bit light. His legs are a little bit thin. Cassius Howell, I mean, he's got T-Rex arms if I've ever seen him before. I believe he's going to be an outside linebacker potentially at the next level, especially with his weight at 248, and he's only 6'2". I have Cassius Howell mocked right now as a 3-4 outside linebacker. That does not fit what the Detroit Lions need. I would be extremely surprised if they went in that direction. Omar Cooper, this dude's an absolute stud missile, man. I love everything about his game. I feel like he's missing a few things, but I'm not going to go deep off into all these players. Lions don't need a receiver in the first round unless they trade Jamison Williams for a first-round pick, which I don't see that happening. Caden McDonald, this guy's going to be a stud too, and you put him next to Tyreek Williams. You got 2 guys that have played together. They know each other. He's going to be more of your nose tackle size That would free up Tyreek Williams to slim down and give you more pass rush upside. And I do love that dynamic. But I'm banking on Capehart, in that 4th round to be there. But I see Capehart usually off the board around pick 86. And the Lions don't have a pick close enough. So they're going to have to move forward. TJ Parker might be the one that is more ready, higher floor, lower ceiling type of player. 6'3", 260. He has that perfect height and weight to be a guy that is going to give you that stiff edge. He has decent bend, great hands. The rest of his size, I don't have in front of me. I don't have my stats up with me. What did I do with my website? There it is. Let me pull TJ Parker up on my website real quick. If you want to know more about Capehart, it's right here. I'll paste it in the chat. Read this article. You will learn a ton about why I love Capehart. He really snapped off at the combine, man. He was impressive. Got to find my TJ Parker work. He didn't make my top 25. TJ Parker, where you at? My goodness, where is he? Okay. Guess I'll go to the top 50. The guy that I really like off the edge is Malachi Lawrence. I hope we get a shot at him. I really do. There we go. Here's TJ Parker. So TJ Parker, 6'3", 260, 5 sacks, 9.5 TFLs, 11 hits last season, 41 pressures, 24 hurries, 22 stops in the run game, a 15.5% pass rush win rate, and a 7.6% run stop win rate. Now, this was my pre-combine workup. Let me find my new workup because I have all of his arm length and all that stuff in there, I believe. My 2.0. Here we go. 6'3.5", 263, 33 and an 1/8 inch arm. So he's just light, but you know what? It's workable. He's got a decent ape score, 105, which is it's good. I mean, it's average. It's not better than average, and he's got a 79-inch wingspan on a 6'3.5" frame. I think he'll be just fine with the arm length. He can definitely bend and get long. And as a matter of fact, if there's another guy that I really like, is Danny Dennis Sutton. He's another one that I would look at a little bit earlier than later. So there's that. There's Peter Woods. I think he'd be a great pick too. Colton Hood right now is more of my number one pick for the Lions for a corner, but they're not going to have a shot at him. And then there's Caden Proctor sliding all the way outside at 33. That's crazy to me. That's just absolutely nuts. And what did I tell you guys about Maxi Honachor? Maxi Honachor has gone from number 70 now all the way up to number 35. This is a guy that I identified in the Panini Bowl or prior to the Panini Bowl, and then we watched the Panini Bowl together, and I said, this dude's going to fly. And he's going to fly up the board, and teams are going to love him, and he might end up in the first round. And he's almost there. He is almost there, and he is now past Emmanuel Pregnon, according to PFF. So then you have Caleb Lomu back here at 34. He is the only other left tackle, in my opinion, that the Lions could take a shot at, but he's extremely light at 305 pounds. He's extremely light. 6'6", 308. He's got the arm length, the last I checked. Let me pull that back up. .33 and 3/8 inch arms. So he's right there. His ape score is 106, so he's got a really long frame. I mean, between him and Caden Proctor, those are the only two players that I see make a lot of sense for the Lions if you're looking at a left tackle. I think that Caden Proctor offers more. You have to keep him on that very strict diet. And I think that Lomu is going to give you what you need to, but he's got to gain some weight. Damn, it's already 9:47. So here's how I see this working. Brad Holmes, if he has the potential to get Caleb Lomu in the second round, this is where he's going to have to move all the way back up. He's going to have to go from 50 to the top 35 or back into the first round, and that's where he's going to be able to maximize his business in this draft. So if you take an edge, or if you take a left tackle first, or if you take a linebacker. See, I don't see a linebacker anywhere in here that I really feel fits the Lions. I think that what's his name is in here. Where's he at? The Alabama guy or the Georgia guy, CJ Allen. I mean, CJ Allen has decent grades. He's only 6'1", 235. That's what doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the arm length and the ability to play outside. His arm length is 31.5 inches. I mean, it's not very long. And his wingspan is a little bit light at a 104 ape index score. And let's see where his snaps were. Primarily in the box. See, I need him to be more on the outside. I don't think Allen's going to fit. I'm just going to roll with my gut here. I've got to take the left tackle. Well, I'm going to get a terrible grade. But then again, let's just say the Lions go all defense and they don't get a left tackle and they move Panay to the left. If they move Panay to the left, then that opens everything up. Make a trade. I want to pick at pick 28. The Lions have a relationship with the Houston Texans right now. I want to pick at 28, and I don't want to give 17 up. I'm going to give you 50, and I'm going to give you next year's round 2. God, that's a lot. 50 in next year's round 2 to move up to pick 28. The Houston Texans would be dumb to take this. They're picking at 38, so I mean 28 to 38 is not a big deal. For them to get pick 50 in exchange and the Lions keep 17, that would be a dream scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and give them pick 204 on top of it to make it probably more realistic. And here we go. So now I got 2 picks inside the top 28. I'm going to take, oh Lord, I need 3 players here. I'm taking Keldrick Falk first. And let's just hope that Proctor's still there. Oh, Parker was still there, and there's Proctor. Bing, bing. There we go. But then we're screwed. We don't have another pick till 118. And I don't think that's what the Lions want to do, man. You'd have to make another move. You'd have to. Oh, boy. DeMonte Capehart. Look at that. And Malik Muhammad. Both of them there. I didn't get my safety, though. Oh, there's Bud Clark. Why is Bud Clark slipping? All right, we got to make a trade. If I'm going to get Bud Clark, I'm going to pick on Houston Texans again. God, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give them all these picks. Who's got a light set of picks? Jags, they're picking late. Let's go Jags. Go 124. I need 124 if I want a chance at Bud Clark. And I'm going to give you... I'm going to give you 180. Next year's 4th and 180. God, that's too much. Okay. I could take DeMonte Capehart, which I think would be a huge upset or a huge upside, and then Malik Muhammad if we want a corner, but we really need another safety. So you got Bud Clark, DeMonte Capehart, and then you got Nicholas Singleton, who I think would be great. Then there's Caleb Proctor. Is Caleb Proctor going to slip to 155? God, I hope so. I would love to have both of those brothers on the same. I didn't realize they were brothers until the other day. I would love to have them on the same squad. I'm going to take a chance on Caleb Proctor that he's still going to be there. I like the mentality and the bloodlines of Tyreek Sapp, but I really like Capehart better. I'm going to take Capehart. He's got pass rush upside for days. And now I'm going to take the safety. And now I'm going to hope that my guy's there. Oh, no. Where did he go? Who took him? 141 to the Cardinals. Wow. Well, that sucks. I tried to get 2 edge. All right, we need another edge. Maybe. Could use a tight end. Joe Royer is, He's all right. Where's Peyton? Peyton's all the way back at 234. I'll have to take him at 212. You know, George Gums kind of popped off at the combine. Like, he really popped off. Outside tackle, primary position. I wouldn't be mad at that. Hutchins. Wouldn't that be weird to have a Hutchins and a Hutchinson? All he needs is an ON on the back of his name. Hutchinson, number 2. Still not getting a linebacker. Oh my God, Harold Perkins is in here? Why is he so far down? Size is terrible. Oh, he's got tiny hands and small arms. Yep. Yeah, Perkins is going to be one of those college phenoms, but he's not going to do anything at the next level. What about Trey Moore? I don't remember seeing him at the combine. He's a little bit better, man. 10.5-inch hands. I love the mitts. He's got 31 and 5/8-inch arms, 6'2", 243. He ran pretty well. He's got a decent vert. He's got a good broad. I'd probably take Trey Moore right now. Oh, he's at what? 170? Be a high reach. But picking at 155, unless I was really going to drop back like 10 spots. Michael Taff he's just small. And he's got really short arms. Really short arms. I mean, I thought he was great to talk to and everything, but yeah, he's a tiny dude. Josh Cuevas out of Bama. That one's kind of interesting. He's got short arms too. All these guys at the bottom, they all have something. All right. I'm not going to dilly-dally anymore. I just got to grab my guy. Ooh, Keelan Black's up in here. Some good options right here. Where was he? Where was Peyton? 234. Okay, I'm going to do what you guys don't think I'm going to do, and that's I'm taking the running back, man. I think Keelan Black is that's good. That's still a good find. He didn't test though. Curry it is. Oh, I like this Heidenreich kid, man. He was ultra quick at the combine. There he is. I'm gonna have to. Probably should have taken Gums. All right, last pick. Well, there's Brailsford, another center. I think we're good on centers for now. Huh, look at that. A linebacker. 6'6". Jesus. Lorenzo Styles it is. Okay. Let's see how we did. I don't care about their grades, but we'll just see how they did anyway. Keldrick Fox, we got one edge. We got our tackle. We got our defensive lineman. So, I mean, that's A+ for me right there. But B+, B+, B+ by PFF. Hey, that's not bad. Usually I got D's and E's from them. I got the safety. I got the second edge. I got the quarterback. And I got another one of the fastest safeties in the draft. I don't care what their grades are. I would be happy with this. Keldrick Falk off the edge. Proctor the other side on the offense. DeMonte Capehart is all heart. Bud Clark, one of the more interesting prospects in the draft that I still got to do some more homework on. Caden Curry, I had to take way early. Cole Payton, I had to take way early. But I think the Lions do like him. And Lorenzo Styles tested extremely well. And there's no denying the fact that he played pretty damn well. So the bloodlines are there. Why not take the risk, right? And honestly, when you're picking this late in the draft, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Let's save this one. So what did I give up, though? So I gave up next year's second round pick to get Keldrick Falk and Caden Proctor. Right? So I gave up pick 50. I gave up a second round pick this year. I gave up a second round pick next year. And I gave up a sixth round pick this year to end up with Caden Proctor and Keldrick Falk, both in the first round. 5 years of eligibility with the Lions. And then at pick 118, I ended up with one of the most interesting defensive linemen in the class. And then I also gave up this year's fourth, or next year's fourth, and this year's fifth to be able to get Bud Clark. Well, he better work out because he is a fourth round pick. And I gave up an extra fourth round pick to get him. But I traded a fifth this year and a fourth next year to do it. So when you think about how much that's really worth, well, that fourth round pick is actually worth probably sixth round value because you're trading a future. And all I gave up was a fifth round this year to pull Bud Clark at 124. That, in my mind, would be a steal. Caden Curry, another edge from Ohio State. I don't know everything about the guy, but I know he played decent. And then another Ohio State guy with Lorenzo Styles. So 3 Ohio State guys on that roster with, or 2 Ohio State guys with Tyleik Williams. I'm going to reload it, and now I'm not going to do any trades this time, I promise. Just going to go right through it. All 7 rounds, quickly. I'm going to turn this up so positional value is more, random list is less. And now Monroe Freeling is available in this one. Caleb Banks, C.J. Allen, Jordan Tyson, Emmanuel McNeil, Warren, Keldrick Falk. Okay, so I have pick 50. Malachi Lawrence should be there at 50. A.J. Halsey is the one that I really wanted as a safety. I like A.J. Halsey. Man, I hate taking Caden Proctor this early at pick 17 because I think it's such a waste. But honestly, I value Caden Proctor higher than Keldrick Falk. And I have Emmanuel McNeil Warren way higher than all of the others. So I'm following my board and I'm taking Emmanuel McNeil Warren, which you guys are going to say I'm stupid, and that's okay. I'm following my board. We'll just see what my board says. Malachi Lawrence would be my next pick because I'm following my board. But with Jadarian Price sitting right there, that's a hard one to walk away from. But we don't need a running back this year with Pacheco in the house. Then you have Danny Dennis Sutton at 66, and I'm not making any trades. So I'm going to follow my board. It's Malachi Lawrence. 6'4", 250 pounds. Malachi Lawrence. Taking Malachi. And my board ended at 100. So now I've got to take a look at these guys a little bit closer. Oh, Demonte Capehart fell to me. Malik Muhammad still. And then there's Bud Clark. Well, I already took the safety. And then there's Caleb Proctor. Come on, Proctor, fall to 155. I'm taking Capehart again. Come on, be there. Nope. He's not there. Where'd he go this time? Kansas City at 146. Well, he fell 5 more spots in this one. Ooh, Aiden Fisher. Aiden Fisher's he's an inside linebacker. There's Trey Moore at 179. Well, hopefully he's there at 180. I need to get back up. Eli. God, he's massive. Kevin Coleman. We don't need a receiver. Logan Jones out of Iowa. That one's interesting. He needs some weight, and he's got some really small arms. He's sub 31-inch arms, which is fine for center, but Julian Neal might be my choice here. He might be able to convert to safety. He's got long arms. He's got good weight. He's got decent sized hands. He tested sub 4.5, which he meets the threshold. He's got a hell of a vertical and broad jump, which means he's going to be super twitchy. Yeah, I'm taking Evan Neal or Julian Neal. I think he'll be a safety convert. All right, so now we've got Trey Moore here as linebacker. You know, Trey Moore is he's gonna fall right into that class of a tweener. We like what I'm reading is they don't even know what he really is. He's and I've got to watch film on him, but they don't even know really what he is yet. Kazile 6'7", 250. Massive human. And he turned in a 4.7, which is not fast, but 6'7" with 33 and 3/4 inch arms. If he were to add another 55 pounds, he could be a left tackle. A left tackle that could catch. That's interesting. Ooh, Takario Davis. Well, I like Takario. 180 to 1. Yep, I'm taking Takario. I didn't see him there last time. Andre Fuller's in there. So it's interesting that we just took, this Christian Izien guy, and he's 5'11", 211. Bishop Fitzgerald's 5'11", 205. So I guess I really can't be afraid of. I can't really be afraid of the 5'11" as a safety, even though I like my safeties to be 6'1", at least 6 foot, but 6'1", with good size length, decent speed. And this guy is really borderline, and I don't know anything about him as a special teamer or anything. But he projects as a ball hawking safety that might have some alignment versatility. He could be a special teamer, could be a practice squad guy eventually, because not all these guys are going to be able to make the squad. There's just no way. So he's someone I got to do some work on. I usually don't do a lot of work on the later round guys just because I don't really care. Like the first 4 rounds, I do most of my work on. Anything after that, it's hard to have time. But if I've got to take someone right now, it looks like a safety is probably going to be it. We don't need a wide receiver. The fullback is interesting because Heidenreich was, he was special, and he could definitely be a special teamer. He might even be able to moonlight with punt, kick return. Let me just look him up real quick. He was really fun at the combine. He's 6 foot, 198. He's got short arms, but that's good for a running back to have short arms because then the ball stays nice and compact. If you're not using him as a receiver, if you're using him as a receiver out of the backfield, then it's a bit different. He played for Navy, so you already know what kind of mentality he has. He run a 4.4, 4.44. Biggest concern is what happens if he, with everything going on in the world right now, what if he got called into action or something? Nothing wrong with that, but, he'd be gone in a heartbeat. Looks like he ran a lot of jet sweeps. I don't see anything. I don't see anything for punt and kick return. He doesn't even come up in the system. That's interesting. All right, I'm going to pass on him for now, even though I like him. right, Bishop. You're now a Detroit Lion. Now I'm taking Peyton. What about Matt Bredesen? Anybody know anything about Matt Bredesen? Tight end. Taking Peyton. Oh, there's Damani Jackson. Too many corners. Is Max Bredesen any good? Oh, I'm sure I'm way past Jacob Rodriguez. He's probably way up. Way, way up. God, this Gentry guy is just massive. Those guys' grades are terrible. There's just no linebackers late in this draft. Do we need a kicker? Do we need a kicker? How about any running backs? Oh, no running backs. Wide receiver? I don't think there's anyone that I like here either. All right, where's Sonny Styles? I guess I'm just going to take another safety. Or Lorenzo. This is going to be a shit draft. It's all corners and safeties. All right, Manuel McNeil Warren. I got the edge. I got the defensive lineman. I got 2 more corners and a safety. Another quarterback and a safety. So I ended up with 3 safeties out of this draft and 2 corners. There ain't no way that that's happened. That was a terrible draft. We'll save it for the hell of it. See, we got to make some moves, man. Like, for one, I'm not up to speed on all these guys, you know, like super late. And quite honestly, I have a feeling that not a lot of these guys past the 6th round are really going to make this squad. They're going to be practice squad eligible. And so if you're stashing corners and safeties that you drafted on the practice squad, there's nothing wrong with that because you're going to want to stash a few anyway. How many people do we have? I wanted to go through videos today. We didn't even get through videos. It's already 20 after 10. I'd be doing this stuff if I wasn't live anyway. All right, one more. All right, you guys pick. Here we go. I hope we can sign. I hope we can sign Epinesa tomorrow. Oh, your wife probably hates me then, Attila. All right. First pick. Who are we taking? Manuel McNeil Warren, Keldrick Falk, Caden Proctor, TJ Parker. Look, I really don't think there's a choice here. I think it's got to be Caden Proctor, and it's going to be early. Quick trade. How many picks do the Broncos have? They've got a full boat. Kansas City, they've got a full boat. San Francisco, I can't stand. Bills, they got a full boat. Browns, ooh, I like the Browns picks. I like the Browns picks. So let's do 24 for next year's 1. And next year's 3. Wouldn't that be interesting if I could pull, if the Lions could pull that off? Next year's 1 and 3? Is that a move that you'd be happy with Brad Holmes making if he was going all in and he retained 17, 24, 50, and 118, and then try to make another move from 118 to get back up into the 80s? Giving away all your future draft cap, though. So next year's 1 and a 4 and 180. About 204. That's probably more realistic. Oh my God, they accepted it. Whatever. So that means I can do whatever I want at 17 now, and I'm taking the damn safety because we need one. And then I'm taking Proctor. Oh wait, why do I only got one pick left? What happened there? I didn't pick 7. There we go. All right, let's make the trade right away. You know what? Why don't we try to trade back? Nobody's offering me anything. That's interesting. Let's try to trade back. I really want to stay in front. I wanted to stay in front of Chicago. Let's trade back with Cleveland. 24 for 17. And I want your pick 70. Oh, they're not having it at all. They don't want to trade it, period. Move back 7 spots and add 70. I don't know what is going on. It would not let me do anything. Okay, so I made the trade. I picked up pick 74, and then I swapped, or I added 109. Make another trade. I'm actually probably good right there, honestly. Buffalo Bills at 91. 109. All right, here we go. I haven't made a selection yet. That's right. All right, we'll take Proctor. Now we're at pick 50. Where's Malachi? Is he gone? Malachi went at 46. You sons of bitches. So I've already got a tackle, an edge, a linebacker. Looking at a second linebacker here. Yeah, it's average. Zacchaeus Wheatley at 107. Bud Clark at 133. Can't believe my guy Zacchaeus Wheatley has climbed over top of Bud Clark, but I can't say that I'm surprised. Yeah, I was super impressed with him. You know, Tyreek Sapp at 109 could happen. I'm not excited about Overton at all. Something tells me Brad is, though. Wheatley. Cape Hart at 124. I should still be able to get him. Oh, Malik Muhammad. Oh, Cape Hart's gone. He went at 117. You got to be kidding me. Thought for sure I had that in the bag, man. That was about to be the best draft yet. I really like Malik Muhammad, though. And I can't see the Lions taking two safeties. But they could. Oh, there's Caleb Proctor. I'm not going to get another shot at another edge. So far, we got Proctor, Danny Dennis Sutton, linebacker, and then another edge, and then a safety. I can't see us taking another edge, but, you know, oh, geez. We have two. If we had three, that would give us five. And that would be it. I mean, that would be it for the defensive line. We don't have any other defensive linemen. How big is Proctor? He's 280. So he could be a 3 tech. I mean, he 3 or a 5. Tim Keenan. I don't know much about Tim Keenan, but from Bama, something tells me that Brad's going to like him too. I have no idea how he tested. I've got to look up some of these guys. Got short arms, but he's got small hands. Ooh, his athleticism is terrible. He's a straight up nose tackle, so that's your next DJ Reader. Zane Durant. He's small. All right. Proctor it is. And Trey Moore's still there. We got Proctor, Sutton, Hill, Overton, Wheatley, and Proctor. Nobody for the offense yet. That might change. I could see Keelan Black. And Trey Moore is that tweener. So I'm going to go. I really want a tight end. He only has 2 years of playing time. That's risky. About Owen, he's short. I'm going to take the corner. Again, Takario Davis, he couldn't end up being a safety with his size. There's nobody else I really like. Right here. We do need a tight end, so Daquan Wright, and give him a flyer. It's a late pick. I need Peyton. Where is Peyton? There he is. It's a pretty good draft. And the USC kid. Take another tight end. We'll let him battle it out. All right, this is the last one. Caden Proctor, Denny Dennis Sutton, Anthony Hill Jr., LT Overton, Zakia Wheatley, 2 edge, linebacker, tackle, safety. Those guys right there all have a shot to play a lot of snaps. And then another edge, defensive lineman in Caleb Proctor, Takario Davis, who could be a safety / corner, another tight end. We got another backup quarterback, and another tight end. That's a damn good draft. That's a damn good draft with one trade. And I gave up a 3rd round pick in 2027. That's a damn good trade right there. So that's it. I'm out of here. Nightbot, I appreciate you too. He says, hey, thank you for joining today's stream. Cheers to your happy day. I'm out. You guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Get some sleep. I know I won't. I still got work to do tonight, and it's 10:30. So we'll catch you guys all in the next one tomorrow morning. And be there, be square. Peace. Pressured by